Kanza kwethu isono sodwa kubazali kanye nabantwana ababesengozini enyatisa igazi endaweni yaseVaal esifundazweni saseGauteng. Njengoba ke le ngozi yenzeka izolo ngomsombuluko mhla ka-19 January kunyaka ka-2026 okwelapho khona kudlula emhlabeni endaweni yesigameko izingane eziwu-11 kanti ke njengamanje isibalo sesinyukele ku-14. Le video oqeda kuyibuka njengamanje abazali bazo lezi ngane ngenkathi ke beze endaweni yesigameko bezobheka bezo-identifya imizimba yezingane zabo. Omunye wabo nje omama lo ombona esithombeni ufake ingubo ebomvu, yena zimbili ingane zakhe edlule emhlabeni kuyo le ngozi. Umuntu ke oyibonele uthi bonakele le moto ilokhu ke overtake ezinye imoto igijima ngendlela eyisimanga kwaze kwafika lapho khona ke ibithi overtake imoto ezintathu ngesikhathi esisodwa ingena ke kumgwaqo we-oncoming, nokuyilapho khona ke bekade ke kuza i-truck lona ke liza kwi-opposite direction yayo ke le moto yabe ke sihluleka ke ukuthi ke ithathe uhlangothi noma ke ingene emgwaqweni oseceleni, okuyilapho khona kube ke sekwenzeka inhlekelele yale ngozi. Kube ke sekuvela ukuthi ke nangesonto elidlule ubeke wakhuzwa lo mshayeli ukuthi ke ake ehlise esivininini, kanti ke no-premier wasesifundazweni saseGauteng umnumzane Panyaza Lusufi ubeke sephefumula ngalolu daba eveza ukuthi ke umshayeli lo waleli tekisi belikade ke lilayisha abantwana umfanyana nje omncane oneminyaka ewu-22, kanti ke futhi ushayela nje ilayisensi yakhe ibikade isi-expayile ngonyaka owedlule ngoNovemba, kusho ukuthi ke bengasafanele ukuthi ke abe semgaqweni. Nengozi le uyenza nje emgwaqweni okwaziwayo ukuthi ke uyingozi ngenxa yokuthi ke uhlala uhamba ama-truck, kanti ke umshayeli yena usindile akashonanga futhi ke akalimalanga kakhulu. Bangikhuluma nawe nje usephumile esibhedlela, uthe esephuma nje amaphoyisa beke siyomthatha esemvalela esemgixabeza ke nangamacala okubulala. Umshayeli weloli yena kanye ke nalo ebekade ke hamba naye ongumlekeleli wakhe nabo futhi abalimalanga kakhulu sebephumile esibhedlela, kanti umshayeli yena weloli kulindele ukuthi ke naye abhale istatement azosithumelela amaphoyisa. Kanza kwethu esimweni esikanjena ke kwenziwe njani? Wena njengomzali uyayudlule kanjani esimweni esifana nalesi? Uthi ukhipha ingane yakho isesikoleni ekuseni, kuyaba khona ekuseni uqeda kuphuma nje usuyafonelwa kuthiwa ke ake uze endaweni ethize, ungezile njalo ukuzoyibheka ukuthi ke mhlawumbe ilimele kumele ukuthi iphuthunyiswe esibhedlela. Cha, uzobheka ukuthi ke ngabe iwona na umzimba wayo lona. Wenze njani ngempela njengalo mama ombona esithomeni sakho, yena oshonelwe izingane zakhe ezimbili ngesikhathi esisodwa engozini eyodwa nokwenza ebuhlungu kangaka, kusho ukuthi ke izingane zakhe bekufanele ukuthi ayibheke kwezinye nazo ke beyidindelezile seyishonile, abheke ukuthi ke nansi yokuqala aphinde abheke ukuthi ke nansi eyesibili. Ake sihlangane nama-comments sikhulume ngalolu daba, kanti ngaphambi kokuthi wenze lokho cela ukuthi uqhubeke nokubuka ivideo ubone umnumzane Panyaza Lusufi elichaza kabanzi lolu daba. Ngiyabonga.
Thanks so much, Elijah. Truly appreciate that. Elijah, if possible, can we have the SAPS? Okay, thank you so much. I want to start by acknowledging our Minister of Basic Education. Minister, thanks for being with us here and thanks for the visit to families. Acknowledge the MECs, MEC responsible for health, MEC responsible for education, and MEC responsible for transport. I also want to acknowledge the executive mayors. I want to thank them for being part of this brief. The MEC of the executive mayor of the district, the executive mayor of Mfuleni, and the executive mayor of Midvan. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the SAPS. I know the provincial commissioner and the deputy provincial commissioner engaged in activity, and they requested that we utilize the district leadership, and I wanted to thank them for actually been with them since yesterday. We want to acknowledge a member of the provincial legislature, Medisebo Tlebere, members of parliament, members of the executive, of the mayoral committees of various municipalities that are here. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to you deeply hurt and disappointed. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt condolences on behalf of all the people of our province, the country, on the tragic passing of our children who lost their lives in a horrific accident on their way to school yesterday morning. Our hearts are not only bleeding, we are reaching a stage where it's becoming extremely difficult to contain our emotions. The Minister and the MEC had the opportunity to visit the families and the children, and we intend to conclude this visit immediately after this briefing. As you might all know, it has been a very difficult moment for all of us. We just want to give you an update of all the activities that we've managed to compile and all activities that we felt will be important that we share this information with our communities. We want to start with the drivers. There were 3 drivers that were involved, 2 in the truck, 1 in a taxi. In terms of the truck driver immediately after the incident took himself to hospital because he was not seriously injured. He left the hospital, and as I'm addressing you now, the police have confirmed that he has made an appointment with the police to make a full statement to the police later this afternoon. There was an assistant truck driver who was hospitalized, and the hospital provided all the medical needs that was needed to us and was discharged. Then there was a taxi driver who was also hospitalized and later discharged. Through the work of the law enforcement agencies, was arrested, interviewed, and the police have indicated that will appear in court soon. On the basis of the work done by the police, we have now established that the PDP, which is the Public Driver's Certificate, has expired last year in November, and therefore he was driving without the necessary permits. The second area that we want to bring to the attention of our communities, which is a very painful part, is the number of those that have passed on. With the work of the law enforcement agencies, in particular the SAPS and the Department of Health, we can now confirm that 12 children passed on. Of all those children, 10 were identified when we were preparing for this briefing. 11 were identified when we were preparing for this briefing. The last family came forward, and all the children have now been duly identified. Of those injured, 5 were admitted through 2 of our hospitals in this province. 5 were admitted at Sebokeng, and 2 were admitted at Kopano. It's only 2 learners that are now in intensive care unit. 1 learner has been moved out of the intensive care unit. We've been inundated with the support systems from the private community, national government, and various institutions to provide all the support that is needed. Later on, the Minister will address you on this, and we want to extend our appreciation to all the institutions that have provided the full support, from burials, groceries, counseling, and general support that is needed during this period. We want to clarify 8 important areas in terms of the scholar transport system and management in our province. But on the one side, we want to clarify that is the public scholar transport. The public scholar transport that is using buses carry almost 260,000 children per day. That is the government scholar transport. The private scholar transport, which is the taxi that was involved, because these are family arrangements with the drivers, it's extremely difficult for us to have the statistics. The team is working on the statistics so that we can make this information. But those that are transporting our children in the public sector, this is the information that we want to share with you. That from the 12th to the 18th of January, we've been embarking on intensive evaluation of all scholar transport. In Tshwane, we've given handwriting notices to those that their transport were not in good order. And those notices amounted to 335 notices. In terms of financial penalties, the amount is 511,000. In Johannesburg, we issued 442 notices of people that didn't comply to take our children to school through the public scholar transport. And the notices were valued at 696,000. We have what we call e-enforcement infringements. That is the infringement that utilize electronic training. Either you're going through e-toll bridges or you're going through CCTV cameras. In Tshwane, the infringement were issued to 163 buses or transport. In Johannesburg, it was 850. In general, we also discontinued some buses that were not in good order. Between those dates that I've mentioned, the 12th to the 18th of January this year, we've discontinued 14 buses or kumbis. In Tshwane, 68. In Johannesburg, 11 in Ekurhuleni. In total, 93 buses were stopped from transporting our children, utilizing our proactive methods of inspecting them before the school calendar can resume. In terms of arrest, we've arrested 5 people purely because of the state of their vehicles. Of the 5, 3 were arrested for bribery as they tried to bribe our law enforcement officers. There are 16 cars that we have impounded because they were not in a good order. And the value of these cars has also been calculated by the department. Also during this period, we identified minibus vehicles that are transporting children without the necessary authorization and approval. 57 of the minibus taxis were without licensed discs, and our traffic and law enforcement have stopped it. 2 minibuses were operating without proper licensed discs as well. And those that are operating across the province without the licensed discs are 153, and all of them have been tracked and removed from our streets. So where we are now as government is to provide the immediate support to all the families and to provide assistance to those that need assistance from government. And our assistance is categorized in 3 forms. The first one was visits, which will continue today. The second one is counseling, which we have requested the Department of Social Development and various institutions that have donated this kind of service to continue to provide this service. And the third one is funerals. We want to take this opportunity, as I indicated, the Minister will take you through this, to appreciate those that have already contacted us and want to provide all the forms of support that we need. Once more, we appreciate the message received from the President of our country, and we have made necessary arrangements to ensure that the President is updated with all the developments that are taking place around this matter. Obviously, an incident of this magnitude calls for a review of some of our legislation, regulations, and the support system in this particular sector. The MEC responsible for transport and the MEC of education have been assigned to come with proposals that will assist us to ensure that we eliminate this kind of behavior within the transport sector. Once more, our sincere condolences to the families and speedy recovery for those that are still trapped in our hospitals. Minister, I'll hand over to you to provide an update with all form of support that we have received. Thanks. Well, because I think we've taken a decision that the MEC responsible for education and the MEC responsible for transport must find a mechanism to bring this private scholar transport within the framework of our public transport. They transport our kids, they use public roads, and there must be a mechanism not only to identify them, but to find a way of ensuring that we can account for their behavior and conduct. You can see out of this incident, society is asking us questions. It's asking government, public sector, whereas this, we've left it as a private arrangement. But it's quite clear that that private arrangement does not work. Actually, the minister was reminding us that she was 10 days in office when an incident happened in Carlton incident as well. So the team will start that work, and hopefully it will really assist us to finally attend to this one. And there are many other things that parents have been complaining ever since this incident happened. So we are doing a consolidation of those aspects so that we can respond properly to all the inquiries around this now. Network, fear and winter. I think let's allow the law enforcement agencies to do that one. I think they know how best to develop these charges. You know, we live in a constitutional state. We say something on the public platform, is utilized in court, that we have been influenced or pressurized. So our approach is to say, law enforcement agencies, this is a serious matter. Treat it that way. Ensure that you don't have gaps, and whatever that we're going to present in court should be a solid case that can send a strong message to all the people that are recklessly driving in our roads, that reckless driving costs lives, and they must be in a position to be punished for that. So we'll work on that aspect. I think the MEC for transport will tell you about the licenses later on. I'm not sure whether it's easy to get license in our country or not. You want to add, Minister?
Yes, I just on the...
And in some instances, human beings can't imagine the things that will happen in the future. And that is why there will be some elements of changes within legislation or amendment of legislation. I'm one person that follows incident of aeroplanes quite closely. The formulation of some of the legislation, even including before an aeroplane lands, to switch off the lights inside the aeroplane. It was purely because there were incidents that people could not see the engine outside. But if you switch off the lights, you can be in a position to see that an engine is smoking and other things. So some of the things that allows us to make amendments to it. Obviously, it's tragic. It's sad that human beings have to go through this pain first before a certain piece of legislation can be formulated. And that's an area that we should avoid. Secondly, visibility of traffic officers, it's something that we've consolidated as a problem. And I want to thank all municipalities, without exception. We've got 11 municipalities in Gauteng. We said to all municipalities, it's difficult for you to say, I'm monitoring traffic or crime in my own municipality alone. Let's put all municipalities under one roof so that even Ekurhuleni can monitor in Midvaal, in Johannesburg, or all other areas. And all municipalities have passed that legislation, Minister. So we can put all our resources together, regardless of the boundaries that municipalities are in, without them forfeiting their insurance benefits and all other things, which is very important because it increases the capacity and also support municipalities that might not have the tools of trade that are needed to deal with some of these areas. So it's one area that we are proud of, and I think it will increase visibility. But as a province, we are migrating into policing. And that is why we can tell you, without having a traffic cop at the street, which car has passed the red robot and we can send a traffic fine, or which car is not in good condition and send a traffic fine. And you might have seen the video of the incident itself. It's the investment in CCTV cameras and the things that we are putting across the province. It might not be enough, but it assists you, that the police can then follow up and have visible material that they can utilize in court to deal with some of the incidents. I want to take this opportunity wholeheartedly to thank the Minister of Basic Education for the support, Minister. Once more, thank you. All the executive mayors that are here, the law enforcement agencies, the NECs that are here, for the work that we've done thus far. We want to go back to the families and provide the support and also check needs of families, because the needs differs, the family. And after we've consolidated that approach, we'll come back to you in terms of the memorial service, and we'll also come back to you in terms of federal arrangements. after we visited and we've interacted with families. And to families, we are with you during this difficult moment. There's no way that we left it out. There's no way that we're not going to give you the necessary support that is needed. I want to leave it here. Thank you so much. Thanks for attention.
Thanks very much, Premier. We are going to Zone 6, which is where about 5 or so families have lost their children. So we're told it's along the same street.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Very clear.